First one queued up here. And on the screen for you. And we'll get started. So we have here in the bottom left side of Overgrowth. Anybody sensing a trend here? Overgrowth being played in every single match. Great map, balanced map, and I'll talk a little more about that in a second. But not after I finish introducing our orange Terran player. This is FranticDeath. And in the upper right hand corner of Overgrowth, spawning as our pink Zerg player, performing the extractor trick to get the one extra drone early on in the match. This is Psychosis. So a little news about Overgrowth. I was saying I had some news for you, and I'll go ahead and share it with you now. So Blizzard recently announced their Season 1 2015 map pool. And their overall goal is to cycle through maps and, ones that have been around the longest to, cycle them out and get new maps in. So you'll see 3 to 4 new maps come in and 3 to 4 old maps go out any given season. And usually maps don't stick around for any longer than 2 or 3 seasons. So because Overgrowth was a map that had been around for a while, Blizzard was taking it out of the latter pool, and there was a little backlash because Foxtrot Labs, which is vetoed in just about every pro match, and I want to say there's a stat out there somewhere that says it's the most vetoed map of all the maps last season. They kept it in, but took Overgrowth out. So there was a lot of pushback, and I give a lot of credit to Blizzard for listening to the community and made a change before the season started to, in fact, leave Overgrowth in the map pool and remove Foxtrot Labs. So if you haven't seen the map pool, the full Season 1 ladder map pool is available at on Blizzard's website at battle.net. Just go to the StarCraft page and you'll see it from there. So the natural is just about finished up here for FranticDeath, and the Overlord sees the whole thing. So Command Center first, actually, and I was hovering over it while I was talking, but Command Center first is a very risky play against Zerg. But he followed it right up with the barracks. About 4 minutes in, the barracks is still out, so the first Marines will be on the map well before speed on Zerglings could be finished, Speedlings could be finished, or any other aggression could come. So, when done right, it's a safe opener against Zerg, but a lot of people would call it very risky because there's not a lot to defend if Zerg does come with heavy pressure. Bunker goes down, the wall gets finished off, the one Marine's going to get loaded in there. So now we've got some permanent defense to be able to hold off any early link pressure, which we don't have. What we do have is a very early Roach Warren finished up, and the 7 roaches popped in less than 5 minutes. So this is the 7 roach rush build, where you rush to get 7 roaches and then you macro behind it. So you should see the second base goes down for Psychosis. You should see him start to go back to drone production and Overlord production. And this is designed to punish a greedy Terran player, which I would consider Command Center first a very greedy build. So let's see what kind of work this does. Here they come. 4 Marines loaded into the bunker. Another barracks going down. Psychosis can see this with his Overlord. Roaches are going to start doing work on the bunker. Here come all the SCVs to repair and try to keep this bunker alive as much as we can. So 1 roach is already down. 2nd roach about to go down. Killing off all the SCVs. 2nd roach is down. 3rd roach taking damage. Trying to micro it back. Loses the 3rd roach. Still going to work on the SCVs and on the bunker. The bunker should go down. He's going to go around it. He's going to go right around the bunker. Run the mules out of there. 3 roaches of the 7 left, but this, for all intents and purposes, is a hold. 7 units lost for Frantic Death, 351 resources. That includes all the repair resources. 400 resources lost for Psychosis. That includes the roaches that he lost, plus the 6 minerals for the extractor trick earlier. Widowmine goes down, takes out the roach, down to 2 roaches. These Marines are going to clean everything up. And when the dust settles, we've got Psychosis at 33 supply to Frantic Death at 30. Worker count is 28 to 22, 27 to 22, because I think we have a building in production. Yeah, we've got some static defense going down. We've got a spore and a spine, and a spore and a spine. So static defense while macroing up. A couple of slowlings out here on the map. Speed is researching about halfway through. And we should settle into a pretty decent standard Terran versus Zerg matchup. More Marines out on the field. Widowmines joining the party. 2 more barracks in production here. 3rd command center also in production for Frantic Death. Getting this 2nd base back saturated. Still just on 1 gas, which when you're pumping out Marines, don't need a whole lot of gas. The wall-ins coming in for Psychosis. See a lot of Zerg players doing this now, walling off their buildings. Usually you'd see like an Evo here and an Evo here and a Roach Warren and a Spine, and you have a little gap here. But once you get in, you're pretty wide open. By putting the building here, the Baneling Nest, the player has to go all the way around to get up into the main with his army. So you got the Spine here to help out, and just creates this big choke, this big bottleneck right in here that makes it difficult to pressure through. Still a little undersaturated at the main, but the natural's getting saturated very nicely. Some mules down there to help out. Frantic Death's up about 15 supply right now. Worker supplies 35 apiece, so this actually bodes real well for Frantic Death. Having bigger army supply and even with Zerg on worker count. 3rd base about halfway finished up now for Psychosis. 1-1 also about halfway finished up. Melee 1-1. So here come the Lings. Speed is finished on the Zerglings. Here comes one to see what's going on over here. He parks it just out of range of where the command center is looking to land. So unless he moves that, it's going to land. And what we got going on over here? Some Lings and a Marine. Here comes the push for Terran. Terran's up a good amount. Almost 20 supply. 20 supply now. Over 20 supply. Lead for the Terran. So Psychosis is in a little bit of a spot right now. 43 probes to 38 drones, excuse me, to 38 SCVs. Gonna lose an Overlord right there. That's gonna supply block Psychosis, who's already about to be 30 supply down at this point. So good work by Frantic Death to hold off that early push, to take advantage of the greedy build, and to really start pumping out units. So this is looks pretty one-sided at this point for Frantic Death. Over 30 supply lead as Psychosis works to saturate his 3rd. 13 drones on each mineral line in the main and the natural, so still a little room for work there. The Banelings could be the great equalizer. 30 supply lead still stands for Frantic Death. Got a siege tank joining the Terran army at this point. 20 Zerglings coming out for our Zerg player. We have to get the speed upgrade to finish up on the Banelings. Still holding about a 30 supply lead as our Terran player. Going to clean up some creep over here. Here comes some banelings. We're gonna get some hits off. Yep, took out most of the Marines. So those are actually pretty effective baneling hits. Still 14 Marauders on the map, however. And he's going to circle around here. Gotta think that the third base is pretty well saturated. Muta's on the map now for Psychosis. Has FranticDeath seen him yet? Now he just sees him. So, gonna stem forward onto creep. Wouldn't take a fight on creep, not with all that rolling at you. Banelings are getting mowed down a little bit. Decent splits for FranticDeath, but the supply lead's down to 12. Gonna lose the tank, still at 12. Mutas now. Not a whole lot to deal with Mutas with all those Marauders. So just as we saw FranticDeath hold, now we see Psychosis hold a little bit as well. Marines now in production for FranticDeath. Still clinging now to a 20 supply lead. 47 to 51 workers in advantage for Psychosis. So not a huge lead, and certainly not what you'd like to see at the 15-minute mark of a match against a Terran player. 4 more barracks in production for FranticDeath right here in the front. So production's about to skyrocket as the third base gets saturated. Muta's flanking around to these full medevacs. Oh no. Supply now 117 to 111, and not a whole lot of Marines in that mix. This is going to be bad news for the Terran player, who's now only holds a 3 supply lead. Muta's a great equalizer against the Marauder heavy army. One Widow Mine out here. See if you can try to bait him to it. No, but there's the Marine ball to push back just a little bit. So we've got ourselves a match, boys and girls. Got the Terran army chasing the Zerg army back. They're going to miss each other. Both of them there. We go now the Zerg army is going to see where FranticDeath is at. Can't really engage with all those Marines there, though. 4th base is going down for both players at about the same time. Lots of Mutas and Zerglings. The Zergling takes... Oh, and here come the Banelings. Oh, watch out, Marines. Oh, no. Oh, no. This is not going to be good for Terran. And Zerg, for the first time in a long time, takes a pretty sizable lead. About a 40 supply lead right now for our Zerg player. Just couldn't deal with those Mutas and a ton of Banelings. They got great hits on those Marines. So a lot of mind gaming and countering here. Zerg sees Marauders and builds Mutas. Terran sees Mutas and builds Marines. Zerg sees Marines and builds Banelings. Got a Thor on the way now for FranticDeath to try to help deal with some of the mess. 2-2 finishing up now for FranticDeath as well. So the Thor to deal with the Mutas. 1 won't be enough, certainly. A couple of patrolling Vikings over here. But that is a lot of Mutas. 26 Mutas on the map right now. 1 Thor and 30 Zerglings to handle it. A couple of Widow Mines. And FranticDeath is spending everything he's got. Muta Ball's going to come and deny this 4th base for Terran. Zerglings running around. Zerglings and Banelings being produced. Gotta think there's a response coming, and here comes the response. SCVs are here with nowhere to mine to, so they're going to have to take the long walk back. And here come the mutas to clean them back up. That is a lot of SCVs going down. 49 SCVs to 64. Drones. 3 melee upgrades on the way. Adrenal glands upgrade on the way for the Zerglings. And an Ultra Cavern about to be finished up. So this is what I would call approaching the end game in this ZVT matchup, and it looks like Psychosis has a margin of lead. More Thors on the map now. 3 Ultras in production. That'll do work. Oh, here comes. Oh, these Marines are going to walk into Banelings. And there's a big Baneling hit. Going to take out one of the Thors. The mutas are going to do work on the other one. A couple more Banelings rolling through. And yet stabilizes somewhat. Good split by the Terran player. Try to get out of the way of some of that stuff. Got a floating barracks, which is not a bad idea at this point. Get a scout off, and with the minerals that you have right now, with what you're bringing in, I don't mind this. You really can't produce out of that barracks anyway with the money that you have, so see what's going on. I'm alright with that. So here's our ground army. Couple of Widow Mines here for our Terran player. Try to bait these mutas back into him. Is he going to fall for it? Got 2 Overseers, so he'll at least be able to see him and pick him off if he gets to him in time. And here come the cavalry. Stutter stepping, good micro by our Terran player, but he's 50 supply down. This is not looking good. Scan goes down, sees the whole army, the ground and the air army. 191 supply now for Psychosis to 143 for FranticDeath. Mutas are going to pick off what little scraps they can get. They're going to try to go do some harass now, maybe. This army should take care of what's over here. Now we'll see what the mutas are going to do. Just going to hang out. FranticDeath still frantically trying to produce units to frantically hold on to life at this point in the game. 30 supply. Psychosis is maxed out. 16 more Zerglings on the way. Drones coming over to saturate this 4th base. Main base is mined out. Natural still has plenty of minerals. What do we got going on over here? Muta's doing work. Muta's doing all the work. And they get out. So hampers some of the production of FranticDeath. Now supply blocked at 177. Here come everybody. Infestor's in the mix now with those Banelings. This could get ugly real quick. Stimps back to try to avoid. Fungal misses. Oh, there's a big fungal. And the Banelings and the Ultras are just cleaning it up. Ultras are going to do work at this point. 100 supply lead for Psychosis. It's all over but the GG, and there it is. GG from FranticDeath. Psychosis takes game 1 in this best of 3. So before I get into game 2, I'm seeing on stream that a couple of people are talking about some lag. Are you still seeing lag on your end? Yeah, it looks like I might be dropping a good amount of frames here. Before I get into map 2 of this best of 3, I'm going to play with some settings a little bit, so sit tight, watch a quick commercial break, and we'll be back in a second. Were you guys getting that same lag earlier in the night? Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get back into the game now. I've played with some settings a little bit to hopefully take a little bit of load off of my GPU. I think that might be where some of the lag is coming from. So we'll get back into the game here and see what Game 2 looks like. So Game 2 of this matchup, again, Psychosis took Game 1 on Overgrowth, playing Game 2 on King Sejong Station. So we have some folks around the Older Gamers clan that like these two maps, because it's all I've shown today. That's alright. I like these two maps too. There's a reason why they've been in the rotation for so long, and why people like them. So starting up here, spawning in the upper left-hand corner of King Sejong Station. Down 1-0 in this best of 3, our Orange Terran player, FranticDeath. And spawning in the bottom right-hand side of King Sejong Station. Up 1-0, looking to close this out in a quick 2-0 series, is our Red Zerg player, Psychosis. Psychosis employing the same extractor trick that he did in Game 1. Get a little bit of extra mining time out of that drone. So Psychosis, as we saw on the load screen, as I said in Game 1, is a Platinum Zerg player, and he plays pretty much at the Platinum level always that I've seen him anyway. FranticDeath here in the upper left is newer to the Older Gamers clan, and so I haven't had a chance to see him play very much, though from what I saw in Game 1, matched with Psychosis very well, so I suspect we'll see some good things out of FranticDeath in the future. Maybe here in Game 2. Looking to make it a 1-1 match to go to a Game 3. Little worker battle down here. I think Psychosis has lost track of his drone. There he goes. Now he's got it. And gets it out of there in time. Meanwhile, the natural goes down for Psychosis. FranticDeath getting a good scout, seeing that the hatchery went down before the spawning pool. First gas also going down there for Psychosis. Already mining gas here on the Terran side. Reactor going down on the early barracks as the second supply depot finishes up. Overlord camped out right in the natural to see everything that's going on. Spawning pool finishing up now for Psychosis right about now. And the natural finishes up right about the same time. 2 queens in production. And 4 zerglings. So we'll see what he's going to do with these zerglings, if it's going to be for a part of a bigger pressure push or just in case. Factory going down second for FranticDeath. Pretty standard for Terran these days. So this was not quite the same aggressive build that we saw from FranticDeath the first time. The barracks was first followed by the command center. So a little more, again, a little more typical from what you see from Zergs nowadays, or from Terrans nowadays. Speed started now for Psychosis as his workers continue to mine gas. There goes the first 2 zerglings. Overlord's going to all corners of the map to cut off the drop lanes. 2 zerglings staying at home down here. Another queen on production for creep purposes. Loading up the bunker. Hold off any early push. Start working on the wall. Armory going down early for FranticDeath, so looks like we might see some Hellbat play here in game number 2. You know, as much as I have the Zerg bias, I do like the timing on the Hellbats. I think it's a good change that they made, and to keep Zerg players on their toes. I think it's given Terran a little bit more of a you know, that hybrid race that we see. You know, can be aggressive, or can you know, or can sit back and play a macro game. So I think it gives that ability not to have to research the Hellbat upgrade. Gives a lot of ability for Zerg or for Terran to be able to put pressure on that maybe they couldn't before. So first Hellbat is on the field, so yeah, we do see Hellbat production. And the Overlord sees it all. Two more Hellbats in production right now. And are we going to see 2? Yep, there are 2 medevacs on the way as well. So not only are we going to see Hellbat play, we might see some Hellbat drop play. One Hellion coming across the map. Gonna take the watchtower, gonna take out the Zergling. Hellion coming across the Older Gamers logo here in the map. Just a reminder to everybody on stream, if you're not a member of the clan Older Gamers, that That is what this tournament is that we're broadcasting today. If you're over 25 and want to participate in events like this, check out this website you see on your screen, togsc2.com, for more information about the older gamers. Overlord parked in the middle of the base, seeing everything, sees the early armory, has got to think that there is Hellbat coming forth, and he'd be right. First medevac coming this way with Hellbats. Zerglings rallied to pick it off. It's going to boost away and come into the main base with the first two Hellbats. Two more Hellbats doing work down here in the natural, disrupting a lot of mining time. And here are the two in the main working on some units. Looks like he's forgot about him though. He's going to lose one to the Queens. Lose the other one to Hydras. Hydra's out on the field already for Psychosis. So, after all that, Psychosis is at a 10 supply lead with Hydra's out on the field. Worker supply actually favors FranticDeath right now, 38 to 36. Third base is up, but no saturation on it whatsoever. So, yeah, the unit, you'd like to see a little bit more from Psychosis in the way of worker production. But he's focusing on those Hydras. 11 Hydras on the field to go with 15 Zerglings. Camped out here at the third. +2 ranged weapons on the way. +2 Carapace is already in play. So here come the Hydras. Looks like all these Zerglings are rallied to that one Hydra right there. Those Zerglings want to be a Hydra when they grow up. They are their mommy's a role model for them. That's not going to be good. Loses one. Then he's going to park out by it. That's not good either. He's going to move away from the Widow Mine. Smart idea. So Psychosis is a little bit supply blocked with the Viking work that was done over here, and I apologize that y'all missed that on stream. Vikings took out a Overlord. And currently FranticDeath holds about a 27 supply lead. And thank you to the Overseer for taking care of that on the Widow Mine. So the Lings are going to run by over here and do a little bit of work on the main, or on the third rather, while Widow Mine shot goes off and takes some damage there to the Hydras. Planetary is going to make short work of these along with these Hellbats over here. And Psychosis has to regroup down about 15 supply. So this third base is getting a little bit of saturation to it. The other two are pretty well saturated because you could use a few more drones at each one. But should be on good 3-base economy here very soon for Psychosis. Roaches to join the Hydra army. Against a big mech army like this, though, I don't know if that's going to be the right call. There's a lot of tanks. Holy tanks, Batman. 40 supply lead for FranticDeath right now, with more tanks and more Hellbats coming. Let's see what he's going to do with all this. Surely to make short work of that. A few Zerglings coming out here to the tower. Just to see what's going on. We'll get a good view of this lane with that Xel'Naga tower. But he's going to come right up the middle. The big mech army. That is a big mech army. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 factories producing. Would be producing if we weren't supply blocked. But 5 factories worth of mech production. Another command center and another Supply depot going down to get a little bit more production, but 6 more Hellbats coming forth. A couple of Widow Mines on the high ground. Sees the creep spread, knows where he's at. Gonna siege up all these tanks. Oh, makes a scan for the creep tumor, ends up taking a little bit of friendly fire. Supply very close right now, 157 to 152 for FranticDeath. Third base getting saturated there. Full saturation on the third. Fourth base going down right now for... And Vipers on the map. Okay, so Vipers could be the equalizer in this, because tanks would normally handle this army very well, even with the upgrades that we have. +1 Carapace armor just now finishing up for Zerg. So they'll be on 2-1 with the army. Locust upgrade is complete, but I don't see any swarm hosts. And there's a scan. Oh, Blinding Cloud on the tanks. Oh, Blinding Cloud on the other tanks. Yep, that is the equalizer right there. And we'll watch FranticDeath's supply melt. 133. So that's... Yeah, so these are back. But there's just not enough firepower there to take out this whole army. And just like that, 30 supply lead for Psychosis. $12 more roaches on the map, or on the way. More tanks coming for FranticDeath. It's a small tank army, going to try to siege up on the high ground, hold the high ground. And picks off those Widow Mines just before the timer resets on them. So we're just getting some drones over here to the fourth. Got a drop coming inbound from FranticDeath. And a push coming in, fifth base coming down here for Psychosis. Push, but not really. He sees the drop, so he has vision here, here. It's going to come in right along where this Overlord is, so he's rallying all these troops back over. There's a swarm host on the map, 3 more in production. Got 3 on the map, so that'll be 6 total. All the Roach Hydra army back here to hold off this drop that never happened. Swarm host, 4 swarm hosts coming, 7 more on the way. So there's 6 with 7 more, so that'll be 13 swarm hosts total for our Zerg player. He'll bust down the rocks at his own natural to give himself another move out. More tanks, and more tanks coming for FranticDeath. It's nice having the supply of all of these factories. Swarm host count is getting very high. 2 Vipers still out here on the field. 3 Vipers on the field, which will help with both the Locusts and the Roach Hydra army. 3-2 now on the way for our Zerg player. So here comes the 4th base for FranticDeath. Sees it with the Zerglings down here, and he's going to rally Locusts over here to deny it. Here comes the army. And Psychosis is going to split around and try to pinch him off here with the oh, and there's the Blinding Cloud again. Just makes those tanks completely useless and lets the Roach Hydra equalize against those. Swarm hosts are going to reroute and come after this tank line that's over here. I think if he dropped a scan, they might be in range. If he were to scan, I don't know if these first few are in range of these tanks or not. They might be just out of range. Big supply lead, almost 40 supply lead. Here's the Raven. The Raven can certainly see him as a detector. And there goes the Seeker missile. More Blinding Clouds. Vikings are going to clean up the Vipers. 25 supply lead, but the Vipers are no longer on the field, so this might be a little bit in favor of the Terran player at this point. Good saturation on the 4th base. Nothing going on the 5th yet other than producing units, which cannot be overstated. This 3rd's going to get denied by the Locusts. It's on fire, so it'll burn down if he doesn't move it. I just don't think he can get there in time. I think he's resigned to losing that one. Swarm hosts are going to move to the high ground to try to put a little bit of pressure on these siege tanks over here. He's going to split them. Left 6 of them here. Bringing 6 of them back this way. Scan goes down. Sees the swarm host with nothing with him. Going to unsiege some tanks and move over there. It looks like he's going to take care of those. SCVs did get the repair off on it. But here's the army, and it's going to take it out, and there's nothing he can do about that with all those Hydras. A couple of SCVs go down for the trouble. So those swarm hosts were hung out to dry over here. I think Psychosis might have just forgot about them. Scan sees the whole army. More Vipers on the field. Vikings are going to take some of them down, but there's the blinding cloud again. Oh, so strong against the mass amount of tanks. He probably will be able to clean up most of these tanks. They all go down. 90 supply lead, 100 supply lead now. And that's it for this one. GG is called and FranticDeath goes down. Psychosis takes a very hard fought and a very skilled 2-0 victory in this match.